Oh, here we go. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I am Maria, and
I'm Sam.
and today we're going to talk about divine timing. I'm excited. I'm excited to collaborate with Sam again. Let's go. Sam had a story that she wanted to share. This is how we got to this topic.
Well, I'm going to include the shower part because I feel like it will make more sense, you know?
Yeah.
So I was taking a shower and I just had this random thought that divine timing is like when you ask for something, like for your birthday or for Christmas. And it's like, no matter how badly you want it, it's not going to come before Christmas. It's not going to come after Christmas. It's going to come on Christmas because like that's when it's meant to come. And personally, for me, like a lot of things I find that I manifest are within divine timing, like basically everything. And you don't necessarily have a lot of control over when it comes. So when I had that epiphany, I was like, whoa, I need to share this.
I love that.
Yeah. And also just like surrendering too, I found surrendering like super difficult. And it was almost like the energy of being able to surrender was also within divine timing, which was just like mind blowing for me because I was trying so hard to force myself to surrender to surrendering, but I couldn't actually feel the energy of what it meant to surrender, if that makes sense.
No, totally. It's like the journey of our healing always happens at the time that it's meant to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
I agree.
So I was like, surrender. I was literally like meditating and I was like, surrender.
I
wasn't feeling it.
I get it. Like, when I do mentoring sessions with people, it's so often that when they come in to do calls with me, or like when I'm doing readings and they book with me, a lot of the time what the messages that come through for them is something that I like had either just previously experienced or something that I had just previously learned. So then I can like very well articulate it and walk them through what's happening. So it's super interesting that you say that because it does happen in divine timing in that way, which is super cool. Yeah. I also would like to say though, that even though divine timing is a thing and like being able to receive at a time where we're the most receptive is needed, I would also like point out though that just because we're receiving it at that moment doesn't mean that the opportunities haven't arisen. Oh my gosh, my English
Your throat like,
the opportunities haven't come forth prior. We weren't at a point where we could align with those exact experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe they came and like they went, or maybe they came and we said no, or maybe they came and we just didn't even see them in our experience. But then when the divine moment comes where we're at a point where we can be aware of it, we're at the point where we want it, where we're manifesting it, where we desire it, and where we can say yes to it.
Yeah.
Like that would be a divine timing because we're ready to receive it. But they can still they come, all energies are fluid, right? So they're always like available to us. It's not that we can't get it. But there just may be something that is within our field and within us that isn't fully aligned to it yet, that we're just working towards and working through in order to then get to the point where we can fully receive it. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. You know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like that also plays into like what's meant for you will always be meant for you though too, because it's like if you're truly meant to experience something like an energy or a lesson, it's always going to come back. It just may not look the exact same way that you had anticipated it to look. So it's like there's not really such a thing as like missing opportunities.
Nope.
I found super like grounding when I learned that, because I find that can be like a scary energy to enter into, to think like, oh, like I'm not doing this right, or like I'm missing this opportunity because I'm not doing this and I'm not in the right place at the right time. And then you just like get yourself into like this whole anxiety mindset of like, what am I doing?
100%. And then you like almost like, then you sit in this energy of like disappointment or regret that isn't particularly comfortable. Also too, like we just have to remember that when we're manifesting something like big picture, like a particular career or a different particular experience that's not very instant, the way that we get there may not look like we picture in our mind. Like for instance, like when I set the intention of like, oh, I want to live closer to the ocean, I thought that meant I wanted to move to Australia, whatever it was. I thought that meant like I was going. Like I was gonna hop on a plane and I was going.
You're out of here.
Like I was going and that was it. But then it took me through all of this healing. Like I ended up moving home and I had to experience that. I ended up moving to a different city in Canada. I ended up moving to Vancouver and now I'm here. I live close to the ocean. And then the moment I move here is when my visa gets accepted to Australia. So it's like, there's things that might have to happen, people you might have to meet, experiences that you might have to have in order to have the thing that you're actually trying to manifest. So it's interesting how that works too. And how when we think of manifesting or when we think of having these experiences, we forget that there's just things that have to kind of work out and people we have to meet and experiences and lessons we have to learn in order then to be ready to receive that, or in order to get there and be successful.
Yeah, it's not just like you ask or you manifest your desire and then all of a sudden, poof, it's there. It's like a lot of the times there's a lot that plays into it that you don't necessarily understand or you're aware of until you actually get to your destination. And then you're like, oh, I had to like do all that to get here. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of the time that happens with money. Like when I talk to people about money, so often people have went through the experience of poverty or not being able to pay their bills or needing to learn how to have an actual monthly budget. And they needed those skills because down the line, they were going to be very wealthy. And if they didn't have those skills prior, if they didn't have those prior experiences of having to work through those adversities, then when they got this wealth and when they accumulated this wealth, well, they wouldn't have been able to receive it because it would have all been gone.
Yeah.
They probably would have spent it very quickly or what have you. The energy surrounding it would have been so different. So a lot of the time we go through these experiences of, I guess it comes back to duality, like having to live in both energies of a certain experience, I find that fascinating. That is one that I've learned. It's a good example because it's not even just money. It happens in love, right? Like when we go through an experience of heartbreak, we allow that to affect us, but then it also allows us to do the healing work in order to then have a greater experience of love in our next connection or whatever that looks like. Our definition of love and what that means to us changes.
That's very true. After every connection you experience, it shifts a little bit.
Yeah. And then the divine timing of it is the fact that when you were actually trying to manifest a partnership or like a forever partner, let's say, and first you had to meet the person that would teach you what love isn't.
Or what you didn't want.
Exactly. In order for the divine time to work for you to meet the partner you were manifesting. Same type of idea, I guess, but yeah. It's also interesting too, because when we think of like time being an illusion, it even is still in that regard due to the fact that we have free will around our choices. We have free will around what we choose to honor. So if we're honoring our fears or our soulful intuition, right? Like, and with these choices, our our path, our journey can be shifted.
Yeah.
So
I think another important aspect of divine timing is like, just because we believe in divine timing, it does not mean that like we sit back and just like put our hands up in the air and we're just like, okay, like it'll just come to me in divine timing. It doesn't mean I have to do anything or take action or move anywhere, because it will just come to me within divine timing. I think there's like a very important balance again with the duality of like moving towards what you desire, but also trusting that it will come in at the right time.
100%. I love that. I love that. Something that I tell people very often too is everything that you experience is going to become very useful to you when you get to the point of actually living in that manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
So like entrepreneurship, for instance, right? Like when we talk about building a business, we have this idea and this vision of what we want it to look like, and we want to get there quickly. Although there's things that we have to learn in order to be able to actually receive the full extent of what that manifestation is. So like we put our order in, we're like, hey, this is what I want my business to look like. And then universe is like, okay, well, this is everything you'll have to go through. Like these are the prerequisites, and then you'll live through that, and then you can get there.
What's interesting, as soon as you brought that topic up, I saw the Knight of Pentacles.
Knight of Pentacles, I love that.
Yeah, like the tarot card, like determination, hard work, consistency. It's like a slow, not a super slow process, but it's a process that takes more time. It's not just like a quick overnight thing for a lot of manifestations, especially entrepreneurship.
Yeah. There's just, so like you don't have to, nothing's limited. Like you could literally do anything. You can manifest anything. It's just what your soul will have to live, and what sort of accumulated lessons you have to kind of work through or live through in order to then be able to open to even receive it.
Yeah, 100%.
Because like right now, I wrote my entire book, and I'm like, I want to be a published author. I'm not at a moment in time where I'm fully able to even receive that acknowledgement, because I'm still in a place where I'm like, man, it's terrifying that I just wrote a book.
Like, to read, by the way.
Thank you. But you know what I mean? Like I'm on my way to that manifestation, but I'm still in a place where I'm like, man, like even if I were offered that, like I don't even know if I could be in a place to fully receive it.
That energy yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like you desire that energy, but are you open to embodying it is a whole nother question.
Yeah. And yeah, that's exactly it. And I don't think a lot of the time we can't conceptualize the energy shift that would have to occur in order for our manifestations to come forth in reality. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the beauty of meditation, is that you get into a meditative state and you can sit in that energy and then align very well with the energy that you actually need in order to manifest what you want. Like that's the beauty of meditation, is that you're practicing sitting in that energy. That's literally what you're doing.
Yeah, I think like another like very cool thing I find about manifestation is that it's literally like all within us.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're meditating, like you're connecting to that part of you that is literally within you, that knows that it can create whatever it wants to create. But it's like when you're in the physical and you're living in this like reality of the physical, like going to work, waking up, you have absolutely like no idea that like all of that exists within you until you start to actually like take the time to like learn about it and meditate with it. And I just find that so interesting, because we're looking for happiness and what we desire from everything that's external.
Yeah.
And like what's around us, which it does play into part of manifesting, but I feel like a lot of it's like within us.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, what we create within us. And it 100%. Just like it blows my mind that like it's the last place that we would look is within. We would always look external first.
100%. And then it causes the separation from ourselves.
Major disconnect.
Did I say I said disconnection, right? Sorry, I wrote this thing a while ago. It's this quote. It came to mind, so I don't know. I have to read it, but I need to find it first. Pretty much stating I think this is it. No. Feel free. Oh, here it is. There are so many things I've learned that I could label as my greatest lesson. So instead, I will label life as my greatest classroom.
Ooh, I like that.
And I wrote that after talking about why I don't go to school, or why I chose not to like fulfill my education pursuits. And it brings us back to that divine timing of what is it that we have to go through. In one, there's a couple of things. We have to feel worthy of it. So we have to actually learn how to work with our mind in order to match our feeling of feeling worthy of it. How do we open to receive it? So when it comes, will we say yes? And will we be able to see the opportunity for what it is, or will we question it and be avoidant of it? And then not be in a grounded place in order to actually embark on that path. And then another one would be like, do we actually want it? Are we able to align to ourselves enough to say to ourselves, is this what I want? And I think that comes in a lot when we meet certain obstacles or whatnot, or certain situations that ask us if we're going to settle or not. So, and then because the best part about those situations is the trust that we build within ourselves. That is the most incredible part. Like the ability to love ourselves and the connection we have to ourselves is built through trust. And that comes forth when we can say, this is what I want. And then when we get offered something that isn't that, and we can like full on say like, no, this is not what I asked for, or this is not what I want to experience. Thank you, but this isn't it. It reinforces that belief that we can have it.
Yeah, 100%. I think that plays a lot into what we were talking about before we before we started filming.
I guess it could.
Yeah.
If it resonates.
Yeah.
But then the divine timing of it is like it's all in timing of our personal devotion and personal love for ourselves, and how dedicated are we to that?
I like that.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a really something like we'd have no words. We're just like, that was really nice.
We just like soak it up for a second. Like a sponge.
Yeah.
But back to like the no school thing. I remember my mom would always say to me, she would always say, you are a student of life. I just love that saying, like, especially because it's really hard not to get into your own head about not going to school. At least for me specifically, I was like, oh God, I'm like not doing what everyone else is doing. Like, is this okay?
Right? It's hard.
It can be hard sometimes. Yeah. But then other times it's really nice.
Yeah. I actually, in my Your Voice program, talk exactly about that. Like what we want versus what we should be doing based on other people's opinions of us. But that is interesting. All in divine timing.
Yep. That's a big one.
And well, it's interesting too, because specifically like when I work with people who want to manifest relationships, that can be a really triggering thing, like hearing like in divine timing. And the thing is though, is like when it comes to manifesting particular relationships, is a lot of the time, like you were stating earlier, about like feeling this need to surrender is we actually, the act of surrender happens when we've healed the belief of lack around it.
Yeah, and I find also the belief of control.
And control.
Control makes you feel safe because you can anticipate, and when you're not in
and then
control,
and then once that almost attachment to that thing or that situation or that person or that idea dissipates, it's when we're in alignment with ourselves. So like coming back to what I said earlier, like how dedicated are you to yourself, and how are you aligning back to your own energy. And then of course, because the universe asks us to just heal all these things and like come to terms with all these things around us, it shows up.
create space.
It shows up.
Yeah.
Divine timing. But
What are you playing with there? I've noticed that you've been fiddling with that the whole night.
citrine.
That's so
It's a citrine. I got
citrine.
it. I just bought it today.
It is beautiful.
Thanks. I have a citrine bracelet, but I didn't have a citrine chunk, so I bought one. But do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so. That was good.
That was good. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for our chitty chat.
Chitty chat.
And
That
I love that. Yeah, right. And we'll talk to you all soon. You can find me on social media at Maria B, as well as on my website, mariab.com. And you can email me, mariab@gmail.com. Yeah, I'm offering intuitive readings as well as I think I have space for mentorship. I believe I do. I believe I have a couple spots left. So go ahead. There is an application process, but it's all on my website. So feel free to take a look. And what about you, Sam? Where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Samalama with 2 A's, 08. And I'm doing tarot readings, and I also just started doing Reiki sessions, so I can do them distance. Or if you live in Calgary, you can come to my apartment and we'll do a session. So
love that. She gave me a distance session the other day, and I felt it. It was beautiful. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, there was a lot of energy there.
I loved it. But thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye. Bye.